Hey, what's up, guys? I cut off on the last clip. Once again, 15 minutes, and then I'm up, and then I got to move to the next one. But I don't want to make it too long. I don't want to. I don't want you to be like in a classroom where you're learning something for an hour or whatever. I want to keep it 10, 15 minutes, and I keep going over it, but it's because I get so excited about this. So the last one I left off on was hitting for average. We went over power, speed, fielding, but hitting for average, right? Intentional use delivers consistently and reliability, right? So this last time that we talked about in the last clip, I went into fielding and a little bit was hitting for average as well. I know I overlapped it a little bit, but delivers consistently and reliably, right? That's huge. That's so important. They get on base, they get hit by a pitch, they get a walk, whatever. And once again, I know I overlapped a little bit with fielding, but they kind of go in the same realm a little bit. They overlap just a little bit. And that's where it goes is when they get on base. But in a professional context, in a business context for the fielding part, what really separates them is the fielding is like protecting the company, right? It's a quote, a sales agreement. It's a sales agreement, is a memorandum of understanding, it's a quality document, a quality check, whatever the case. But that's what fielding is protecting the company. Hitting for average is different. Hitting for average to me is more of a sales term or engineering as well, getting something done in engineering, right? Moving to the next step, right? Moving to the next step, making a critical decision that's not going to jeopardize the project, but it's a critical decision, a critical point in the project. You make that decision, you move forward. It's getting on base. It's not hitting the home run. And also, too, what this could be, the hitting for average, it could be something perceived as being negative as well. If you're in a project and it's someone needs to say something, someone needs to whistle blow, or somebody needs to say something, that could be perceived bad or can push the project out a little while longer? Would you rather the project keep going and then at the end, when it gets into production or when it gets into mass market, whatever you want to call it, when it gets there, it fails? It fails terribly. It's just not a good product. It could have been prevented, but nobody said anything. This is what I'm talking about. Hitting for average, getting those little chips in there, getting that in there is what really helps you. Because yeah, you might lose a month or 2 months or 3 months, but the problem's going to get fixed, right? Or it can keep you from getting to the last point because the project's not feasible or the product's not feasible, right? It can save you from getting to that point. Being honest and saying that, it might make you not go through the project. But remember, you doing that, protecting, hitting for average, right? Checking those things that nobody else checks, getting on base, bunting, whatever, right? I don't want to keep making the baseball references, but it's so much fun to make it and it pops in my head right away. But that to me is hitting for average is huge because you're getting on base, you're doing these things. Getting on base could be where you say the truth, where you say this is what's going on. I understand it could be like a fielding type lens, but here's the hitting for average. Because you're getting on base, because you're doing that, because you're saying that the product failed or the product was running in a low threshold or whatever. By saying that, you can then probably move your team to another project. And to me, that's a hit because maybe you struck out, maybe whatever, but you're going to get on base still with another project. And that other project maybe requires more of your time. And a lot of people don't see that. A lot of people don't see that. To me, getting on base is also the point where you got to say no to something. Let's put it in a sales perspective. Let's say you have that client that's taking a lot of your time, or you have a prospective client who's taking a lot of your time. The client's taking a lot of your time. You keep going, or your boss or your team keeps saying, no, land that deal. And you know that deal's not going to get landed. You know it's not going to happen. So you say, you know what? That's it for us today. We're gonna step out of this. People are gonna lose their mind. We spent so much money on it. But what happens when you jump into another project that you have lined up and you have that other project lined up and you're right there and you stepped in at the right time and that project's even bigger than that one? You just saved the company money. That could be considered fielding, but to me that's hitting for average because you have a lot of options and you're getting on base with one of them. If there's one where you're not getting on base, why spend more time there? Right? We've all had that. We've all had those prospective clients who price gauge us and tell us this time's different, and it's not. It's the same thing over and over. They just want your pricing. They just want to compare you to their other suppliers or their other restaurants or whatever. That's what's happening. Getting a base hit is also getting away from something and saying, dude, that's not going to work. I'm going to go over here real quick and I'm going to make it happen. So that's hitting on average. Under duress, checks out, avoid stretch or change. Huge. Once again, very similar to fielding, right? And if you notice too, it's very methodical. It's very, very, just muscle memory. That's what it is. It's muscle memory. This is what I do. This is how I do it. There's a bad portion of it because this is how I do. This is when I do it. When something new comes in or a new way of doing things, you're going to think negatively about it, right? You're not going to change. This is the way you do it. I get on base. This is what I do. I don't hit home runs. I'm not in the weight room lifting like crazy to get buffed to hit those home runs. No, I like being slim. I'm not slim, but I like being slim and I like getting on base. This is what I like. That's hitting for average. It's so important though, in the context of where, once again, we need fielding. We need protective people to be on our team, but we also need people who get on base, right? The campaign I'm doing for this book right now, I'm doing a lot of campaigning on this. I'm on LinkedIn constantly. I'm on my YouTube channel. I'm doing like 5 different things. That's getting on base. That's getting on base. I've landed some huge contracts. They've been amazing, great stuff. Those were home runs. I need to get on base. This is me getting on base, me getting involved. My YouTube channel, LinkedIn, I'm getting on base. That's needed. You need someone to get you on base. You need someone to get that hit. That's what you need. If you're an engineer, you need someone who's going to read those manuals. And if you read my book, you know what I'm talking about. You need someone to read those manuals. You're going to need someone who's going to calibrate the equipment, right? You're going to need that stuff. That's what needs to happen. That might be fielding, that might be speed, whatever, but in my context, it's hitting. It's hitting for average, right? You would not understand at all. I've been to like over 115 factories. I know there's people out there who've been to thousands. I've been to 115 factories across the world. We're talking about Budapest. We're talking about England. We're talking about Mexico. There's so many places across the United States. I'm sure there's people that have traveled a lot more than me. I'm not competing with you, but that's me. That's in my little world. I've been to at least 112 or 115. I lost track after the 112 or 115. But you'd be surprised with how many of them don't do the small things. They don't do the small things. And I'll have the managers, the owners tell me like, yeah, like I need to get someone who can read a manual. I need someone who wants to read a manual. I need someone who is going to calibrate my material, who's going to my equipment. Sorry, who's going to calibrate my equipment, who's going to just do the little things. It's a nationwide issue that's happening. I've seen it happen a lot more in the last 10 years, but it's happening a lot. It's happening a lot where people just aren't caring about the small things. We all want to hit home runs, right? It's crazy. We all want to be the guru. We all want to be the Instagram king or the LinkedIn king. We want to look like everything's flashy, everything's hunky-dory, but it's not. We're all human. We're all going through issues. We need to get on base because getting on base can still win you games. That's the main thing. Getting on base, doing the little things can land you contracts. When you do a contract, when you do a government contract, I've helped land a couple of them. When you do a government contract and you do all the paperwork, all the narrative, everything that goes in there, or a grant. When you do that, do you think the person or the government entity or the company, do you think they're going to just want to see a narrative, or do you think they're going to want to see all your certifications as well? Do you think they're going to want to see all the forms that you've signed off, all the waivers that you've complied with? Like, what are they going to want to see? Are they going to want to see just the narrative? And then they're going to have to then go over all your paperwork, and they're going to have to ask you one by one, email by email, every 3 days. Hey, I need this. Hey, I need this. No, they want everything. They want a table of contents. They want everything nice. They're ready to go. That is someone who gets on base. Grant writers get on base. People who have government contracts, they get on base. Quality, they get on base. Your engineers should get on base. Your salespeople should get on base. Ownership. Very technical people, very charismatic people. A lot of them don't care about getting on base. So when you find someone who likes to get on base, it's worth spending that money on to hire, even going above the market rate to get that person. You need to get someone who believes in the small things as much as the home run, as much as the power. You have to. Next one is arm strength. Aligns and influences with clarity. Aligns and influences with clarity. We talked about that arm strength, right? Throwing that line drive, that cannon football player with that bazooka, that gun that you got, right? You got to make sure you're accurate. We can all throw long, we can all throw far, fast, whatever. But if you're not throwing the ball where it needs to go, what matters, right? It's not going to work. Same context when it comes to communicating with someone. You can tell someone, "Oh yeah, dude, we got that thing. Oh yeah, we're going to get that contract. Oh yeah, we're going to get that done." We do these pep rallies and we talk to them. But if we're just talking, if we're just telling them stuff, then they're going to spread that communication or lack thereof, and nothing's going to get done. I've been involved with a way more amount of meetings where nothing gets done than stuff gets done. Out of every meeting I've had, probably out of the thousands of meetings that I've had, probably 50 of them, we actually pulled out our laptops, hooked them up to the monitor, and worked on stuff together. About 50 of them. It doesn't happen. We sit there and we talk and we joke around, and I was a big part of this. I like to joke around, but that's what we do. We like to joke around. But really, like, when has everyone pulled out their laptops, synced them, hooked up, and got something done together? It's very rare. I have been a part of it, though, and it's beautiful. To me, that's invisible leadership. When everybody's working together and there's no leader, the leader's invisible. The subject, the goal, the project is the leader. No titles are involved, no nothing. We're going to get to that into my third book when I release it in December. But for this one right now, we're talking about this. And I'm telling you right now, arm strength is huge. If you're just having a meeting just to talk, just to be loud, and you heard that people are being negative, or people are hearing bad things, or people are getting scared, or people are getting scared there's going to be mass cuts, people are getting scared there's going to be layoffs, you just get in there and you talk to them. Oh yeah, we're not doing that. We're doing great. We're having all these customers come in. They're flying in. Our sales have never been higher. When you know that your whole team is sitting there knowing that your sales are not that high. When your team is sitting there knowing that there's issues going on, knowing that there's no customers, or knowing that customers want to leave because maybe they know other people at other facilities who are telling them that, hey, we saw your customer here. They're getting ready to come to our facility or bring all the work. No, we rather just act like everything's great and not really get down to the issues. Under duress, arm strength. Charms with clarity. We talked about that. Dominates without connection. How many leaders, how many executives, how many founders love to have those pep talks? And you're like, what do you really talk about? What did we really talk about? So when you're in the interview process, or when you're interviewing someone, or when you're promoting someone, what if they're like that? What if you really start to pay attention and you start to jot down, you just write it down. You know what? I'm starting to notice a lot that they overreach. I'm starting to learn a lot that they just dominate without connection. I know that sounds like a long term to say, but think about it. What if they just want to dominate, but there's really no connection involved? There's no sympathy or empathy ever. They ask you, hey, how's the family? How's this going? As soon as you're talking, hey, that project we're talking about, they don't want to know about you. And that's fine. We're at work. We're at work. They don't want to know about you. That's fine. But there's a way to be professional, and there's a way to just be a person that you want to go to war with. You want to go side by side. You want to get into battle with this person. And that's the main thing about arm strength. It's that influence. It's throwing. It's really understanding how much influence you have, and to use it for the good, not bad. It's to use it for things, to get things done that the company needs to get done, that'll be positive, that has to happen, that's in their job duties, that's in their responsibilities, that we know needs to happen, as opposed to doing bad things, right? As opposed to getting people to do things that they don't want to do, right? It's just the influence is so important. I've actually talked to people who don't believe in influence, multiple people who say, no, I'm not influenced by anything. I make my own decision. Everything influences, guys. Everything influences us. The shirt that we wear, the shoes that we wear, everything. Influence is such a strong power. Arm strength is such a strong tool that you need to monitor. Is there some context? Is there some reciprocity in the conversations you're having with this person? Or are they always just dominating, right? And with no connection. So that's it, guys. That's the 2 parts for behavior under pressure. I have a grid also that we'll go over next week, but this is behavior under pressure. This is what's behind the curtain, what's under the hood for the 5-tool employee framework. And yeah, that's about it, guys. All right, thank you so much. And the next one we'll come out with, the next step will be, I think the next one's going to be another grid that we'll go over pretty soon. All right, thanks, guys. Take care. Bye.